in the Episcopal churches, their sort of oversight of young people. It's like they didn't matter. It's like just babysit them until they get older and then they'll matter when they're adults. I heard both of you speak to the importance of young people, and I'd like to know what your plans and hopes and dreams are for integrating young people and children into the life of the church.
Good. That's a great question. I actually had a colleague in the Episcopal Church explain to me the Episcopal plan. And he said what we do is we take them through Sunday school, get them confirmed, and then they drop out of Sunday school, they go off to college, they sow their wild oats, they get married, they come back to us, they leave again, then they have babies, they come back, and that's when we get them. And I just thought that was a great statement of the most demonic plan. So part of the personal answer to that for me, I've been part of Camp Araminta since it got started a few years ago. And this time around, I was there, and somebody said, well, do you think you'll ever come back to Camp Araminta if you're selected as bishop? Excuse me. Sorry. I think I was touched by the question on several points. One is the assumption that to be selected bishop means you no longer have anything to do with kids. And as I thought about my time there, I thought, going back to Neil's thing, the bishop can't be everywhere. There's some things that we're going to have to get used to not seeing the bishop at, and not seeing the purple shirt or the robes or whatever. But I thought, probably one of the places the bishop should be is in the mud bowl at Camp Araminta. And the bishop taking a week a year to be with the emerging leaders of the diocese probably would be one of the best uses of time possible. So I think that finding those ways that the bishop can connect into what the diocese is doing in significant ways, not necessarily as the kind of face up front for those like us. I mean, if you look around, the average age in this auditorium is not 27. So instead of showing up for folks like us who already appreciate the bishop needs to be in places where youth and children are, and basically calling them into relationship. So that would be, just at a personal level, that would be some things I would think about doing. Being a dynamos at surprising times, not necessarily at the closing, but showing up to do one of the talks. Being a Camp Araminta, and so on and so forth. So, anyway, that's a personal answer.
Jim, I both started student ministry and don't ever, at least I haven't ever wanted to leave it. And some of the materials I wrote, I talked about arguing with some college students the last few years in our home on Sunday nights, and mentoring them, and now they're getting married, and some of them have children, and that's my favorite stuff. I was going to be a pediatrician until God told me to do this, so kids are top priority. I think one way of reaching children and young families is to have more young clergy. And I'm a full believer in second career clergy, bringing wisdom and background and business experience and secular understanding and often evangelistic gifts in the church. But the fact is that young families often relate more directly to younger clergy and younger clergy families. And one of the ways that we build up that kind of ministry is to concentrate on raising up younger clergy. And we have got to reverse the experience of just having second career clergy and start having some younger clergy as well. But having said that, I don't want to give away my age exactly, and I'm welcome. I'll jump in at any figure and.
One more question. It's been my observation that a lot of you guys who have the collars and get that purple shirt on change. each of you do to remain like we see you today and not get that purple shirt and become so self-absorbed in that shirt?
I think honestly that the most important reason for the bishop not to be full-time is that he's accountable to a congregation that he spends most of his time. Because they won't let you get by with that. I don't know the Trinity very well, but I certainly know Redeemer, and I don't think if I change much by changing the color of my shirt, that I'm going to be let off the hook there. I think one of the biggest mistakes we've made, and it's a mistake that is not always the case in the Anglican community, it just happens to have been in America to other places, of having bishops be essentially absent from congregational life. And so I'm really hoping that I really think that will make a difference. And Jim and I, and this is conversations between the two of us, but we both are in agreement that if we get to the point where it's too much for a bishop to be too much work for one man to do a third of his time, that the thing you do next is go look for another bishop and get another help in there, rather than expanding his hours and pulling him further away from an accountable community.
Well, who knows what the Lord might do in the next few weeks. One of the things I've done with congregations since early on in my ministry is given the congregation carte blanche any Sunday to ask me how my spiritual life is. And the covenant I made with them is that I'll answer honestly. And so that would be something I'd want to do with the diocese. That on any gathering at any time, anybody in the diocese would have full right and privilege to come up to me and say, how's your spiritual life? And my covenant with God before you would be, I'll give you an honest answer. And so hopefully that would go some distance to handle that. The other is I'd like to institute the custom that the Orthodox have. That at any point that you would see my heart growing proud, that when I show up in coat and mitre to your congregation, that you would have the right to just simply take my mitre off and slap me on my cheek and put the mitre back on as a call to humility. If you see after the people in. You don't want to dishonor the office. You don't want to dishonor the office of the bishop. But if the man in the office is dishonoring him, then there needs to be a way of calling him back to faithfulness. So I think the other thing is what the canons have already there, the standing committee. There would be an annual review by the standing committee. I would assume that the annual review isn't just how many churches got planted, how many gatherings, and stuff like that. It would include what I would want to see included with all clergy, but a review that really looks at health and holiness and effectiveness. And so at that point, I would hope the standing committee would have that kind of voice into my life, speaking to say, hey, John, listen, the purple is seeping into your soul. This is not colonial England. This is the Church of Jesus Christ.
I think Tom was announcing the done, so we'll go with that. Please feel free to catch us next door.
Thank you both.